Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us here for KREM 2 News First at 4. I'm Whitney Ward. We begin right now with some breaking news from Alaska Airlines. Effective immediately, masks will now be optional for customers. In a statement, the airline said masks will be optional on all Alaska aircraft effective immediately. This all is following today's ruling by a federal judge in Florida that the CDC overstepped its authority by imposing the mandate in the first place. Now again, effective immediately, masks no longer required at U.S. airports or on any flight operated by Alaska Airlines. We are also hearing reports of other airlines quickly starting to follow suit, so we are continuing to track this development. We'll have more coming up at 4:30. In the meantime, representatives at Southwest and Delta are reporting passenger levels are getting closer to pre-pandemic levels, while staffing is not. And that's because thousands of pilots retired either by choice or by reaching the mandatory retirement age of 65. Now, nearly 2 years of putting travel on hold because of the pandemic, many people say they're ready to get back out there and start traveling again. But multiple factors like pilot burnout and staffing shortages mean more flight delays and cancellations. So our sister station out of Seattle visited SeaTac to find out how these delays are impacting customers and airport staff across the Northwest.
No matter where you're going.
Definitely really busy.
Or where you're coming from.
It's a little hectic. It's completely full most of the time.
Flying right now requires people pack an extra level of patience.
We were delayed leaving and kind of delayed coming back with other flights getting delayed and things like that. So I think it's just people are back flying again.
Airlines are working to catch up following high demand. CNBC reports people spent $8.8 billion on domestic flights in March alone, and bookings are up 12%. But staffing at airlines is down, including a shortage of pilots. Tuesday at SeaTac, Delta airline pilots are expected to picket and demand improvements in scheduling following what the Airline Pilots Association calls a rise in pilot fatigue.
I was watching the flights and making sure that our flight for like the days before was still going.
Carly and Whitney flew Alaska Airlines to and from Palm Springs. Because of that pilot shortage, the airline recently announced it's cutting and canceling flights.
It was a little stressful, like wondering if our flight was going to get canceled and we wouldn't know when.
Demand is also driving up prices.
It was pretty pricey.
Melee bought a ticket to fly Fresno to Seattle to visit her sister.
It was about maybe $1,110, which is weird because I'm used to seeing it like at least $500.
A flight that wasn't direct, but she said it was the most affordable option.
So I went to Fresno to Phoenix to San Jose, and then San Jose to Seattle.
After 2 years of lockdown, people making travel a priority.
I really care about more so family time, you know, so if it meant a lot to my sister being here too, you know, and then it was on my bucket list.
Now, as you may have heard, some of the pilots with Delta Airlines say they will be picketing at SeaTac tomorrow. Those pilots say they want the company to fix how it schedules pilots, especially for long flights. In response, a Delta spokesperson said this exercise by some of our off-duty pilots will not disrupt our operations for customers. This comes weeks after dozens of Alaska Airlines pilots also picketed, demanding flexible scheduling, higher pay, and job security. Back here at home, new at 4 tonight, the woman accused of throwing rocks at windows at Lewis and Clark High School appeared in court this afternoon. That suspect now charged with felony malicious mischief for the severity of the damage. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley is sharing now how witnesses helped police identify their suspect. Amanda?
Last Thursday evening, 2 witnesses reported seeing a woman throwing rocks at the glass windows here at Lewis and Clark High School. One of those witnesses told Spokane police they were driving by the school here on the way to the ER and saw a woman throwing rocks at the glass windows. And another witness, in fact, the school resource officer, told police that he also saw a woman intentionally throwing rocks at the windows that night. He shared with police security footage that captured that incident. Now, according to Spokane County Court documents, Brittany Johnson is known to Spokane police, and they have contacted her several times downtown. They say she frequents the STA Plaza downtown and local shelters. Court documents say school security cameras captured a woman matching Johnson's identity throwing rocks. Now, the school resource officer estimates the damage to those doors to be at about $750. Police found Johnson in the area and arrested her that same night. Now, according to the Washington Department of Corrections, Johnson previously served a year in prison for residential burglary. Spokane police also say Johnson had 3 outstanding warrants at the time of her most recent arrest. Now, in court today, the judge was going to release Johnson with pretrial monitoring, but she continued to speak out of turn in court today, so the judge ended up setting her bail at $250. Reporting from the Lewis and Clark High School, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
All right, Amanda, thank you very much. Okanagan County Sheriff's deputies have arrested a man for allegedly shooting and killing his girlfriend. According to the Sheriff's Office, deputies were called to a domestic dispute on Westlake Road in Oroville. When they arrived, deputies found the body of 46-year-old Siri Zozel inside her home. Now, Sheriff's deputies arrested her boyfriend of 2 years, 70-year-old Roy Rasmussen, for first-degree murder. Now, friends of the victim say they tried to contact her by going into the house. They say they saw Rasmussen acting defensively. Now, according to one witness, he reportedly saw the victim lying on the floor inside the home. During an interview with detectives, Rasmussen allegedly confessed to the shooting. His bond has now been set at $1.5 million. All right, let's take a break from the headlines and head outside. Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo is outside in our outdoor weather center as we track, again, kind of cool, cloudy for our Monday.
You know, Whitney, the one big difference, though?
What?
I'm not wearing the big coat.
Hey, it's an improvement.
I know. How great is this? And things are only looking up from here. Now, we do have an incoming front. That arrives tonight, going to play a big role in our weather the next couple of days. So let's do this quick. 55 degrees right now with a little bit of cloud cover here in Spokane, 52 in Coeur d'Alene, 48 in Sandpoint, and temps in the mid-50s as you make your way out into the central portion of the state. Did you notice Wenatchee a little bit cooler? Well, that's your closer proximity to the low and the cold front there along with it. What we are going to continue to see is this cold front kind of move its way toward us. So by tonight, a little prefrontal activity is not out of the question. That could very well be possible, and my suit coat is currently falling apart. Let's rip that off. As we get into the evening, the rain moves in, and the rain will continue overnight. It will get a bit breezy as that front arrives. And then tomorrow, as it moves out, early in the morning, we are talking snow. This time it's up high, say 4th of July, Lookout Pass. That's where you're going to see a bulk of it. It eventually works its way out, but expect some gusty wind and milder temperatures again tomorrow.
All right, thank you very much, Jeremy. And of course, it's not summer. It doesn't feel like summer yet, but it will very soon. And today, 4 Eastern Washington fire districts got some new tools to help them ahead of the upcoming wildfire season. The Washington DNR gifted each district with an engine truck from the state surplus. It's all part of the state's efforts to strengthen rural districts in fire-prone areas. Fire chiefs from Spokane County's Fire District 2, Stevens County Districts 5 and 10, and Pend Oreille District 5 all presented with those engines. Today, also, Spokane Fire Chief Brian Schaefer said without the donations from the state, rural districts simply would not be able to afford the resources they truly do need to battle wildfires in eastern Washington.
The cost of doing business in our country right now has placed fire chiefs in making critical decisions on whether to buy fuel or to buy first aid supplies. Those daily decisions are challenging. And lastly, when there are programs like this, it is truly a blessing for those agencies because they wouldn't have the resources to acquire apparatus like this with their existing budgets.
A total of 10 engines are being donated to departments statewide. DNR hopes to double that number by next season. We also have some new information tonight on a fire that broke out in Hayden last week. Hayden Deputy Fire Marshal Chris Larson tells us the fire started in the battery charger location near the back of a repair building. Larson says the batteries that were charging when that fire started were lithium batteries. A private investigation by the insurance company is also happening soon and will determine if there was an electrical issue, a defect in the charger, or if it needs to be perhaps have a recall issued on that particular charger. In the latest effort to stop catalytic converter thefts, the Everett Police Department is starting a new bait car program. in an attempt to catch those thieves. Catalytic converters are located in the undercarriage of most cars, and they contain precious metals. Now, back in July, a new state law, or starting this coming July, a new state law will prohibit cash transactions for selling those converters. Sellers would be paid by check 3 days after a sale, but auto wreckers say that could end up hurting legitimate businesses. One auto wrecking yard owner says his sellers won't want to wait 3 days to get paid.
It's on my mind constantly. It is just a giant part of our business to help these people with their financial resources, I guess.
Now, the senator behind that portion of the law says he doesn't think it should change the way auto wreckers do any business, but he does say if they need to clarify the law, they can work that into next year's business in Olympia. In the meantime, Spokane police arrested a man on Friday in connection to a stolen catalytic converter in North Spokane. Witnesses had reported seeing two men sitting in a truck and then hearing the sound of metal being cut out of a nearby car. The arrest led police to seize 3 vehicles and additional stolen property. The suspect was booked into the Spokane County Jail. Officers now looking for a second man also linked to that crime. Police say catalytic converter thefts is also a growing concern on this side of the state, with thieves selling those converters for cheap and then leaving the victims to pay thousands for repairs. Well, in sports news, Gonzaga's Julius has now declared for the NBA draft, and he did not indicate in his statement if he's leaving the door open to possibly return to GU. He thanked fans on social media today, saying there is truly no place to play like Gonzaga. There was some talk about him being drafted earlier in the season. That talk has waned, though. He is currently not on any of the 7 NBA mock drafts that Krem looked at. If he does intend to return to the Zags next year, he would be a key player. He averaged 11.8 points and 5.3 rebounds in his first season starting. The deadline to withdraw from the draft is June 1st at 8:59 Pacific. So we'll keep track of that for you. Now, coming up after the break, a 19-year-old who crashed into the Spokane River last week now facing additional criminal charges. More on that story after the break.